buffering your experience of life. And the buffering of life happens through meditation. Sitting, closing the eyes maybe a little bit more regularly, adding maybe a 3-minute meditation in the middle of the afternoon, so that then the intensity that may be occurring just from natural causes can be transmuted into something that's positive. So becoming granular, taking that second look at your text before you send it, or checking yourself before you respond to someone verbally, or taking a moment and hearing in between the lines of what the person is really trying to say to you. So I think it'll be an interesting month if you look at it from that perspective. Astrologically approved here. I feel that the theme of this month's meditation should actually be slowing down. Slowing down to speed up, as they say. My reasoning behind that is to increase the support for the newer practitioner. Oftentimes, a newer practitioner of meditation, as she or he closes the eyes, the mind seems as though it's racing. And I say seems as though it's racing because the mind itself is actually not racing at all. The mind, if you look just below the thought or just above the thought, is pristinely still and vast. But what is moving is the thought. But what is fueling that thought? And this is the developing relationship that we are connecting to within the meditation practices. What is fueling the racing thought? And that was framed as a statement, but it's really a question. So what is it that is fueling the thought process, which is moving quickly? And to trust then, what is the answer? So what is the answer? I can share some examples. One might be anxiety. 2, stress. 3, sadness. 4, impatience. 5, pure excitement. So it's not always in the negative that the mind races, it's sometimes also in the positive when we get incredibly excited about. And what this slowing down awareness is doing is beginning to cultivate a means to harness and preserve the energy that you have. So that's mental energy that you have. Because we place our energy in specific areas of attention. And where that attention goes, the energy itself, the prana, will start flowing there. So to become a little bit more choosy as to where you place your attention. So even if it's a positive and you're getting really excited and the mind is reeling, it's still depositing quite a bit of energy into that one direction. So this is why within the practice of meditation, we want to actually dissolve the tendency for that mind to produce thoughts that are not pointed and directed. Predetermined thinking, imagine. Does that make sense? You have a predetermined thought, meaning that it's already coming from a well of wisdom, which is in support of that which you wish to come to fruition. And that is a healthy, evolved mental state. Because we've established many times in our conversation that you really already know what you're going to think before you see the image. You already know. So it's almost reinforcing and supporting that which you already know, but it's now the visualization component of the manifestation. It is the object that the subject can focus on. So because your brain is yours, and you can move your brain, the organization of the brain, as easily as I can move my finger. But we're not fully confident in that fact yet. So because this is possible, because it is a reality, then whatever is the disturbance within the experience of the mind while sitting in meditation, we can begin to work on slowing that down, minimizing it into a point where it's completely dissolved. So that then what we're left with is a profound amount of mental energy, which that then we can begin to direct towards a single point of focus. The single point of focus can be the object which you choose. And as you develop within your meditation practice, that object itself will begin to dissolve. So the point of focus is really the point of origin. This point of origin is the deepest, most expansive expression of who you are. As the eyes close, what you see is nothing but eternal space. And within that eternal space, there's a tiny little speck. And really that's who we are, is a collection of these tiny, tiny little particles that organize themselves to create this body and everything which the body contains. But what that means is we can reduce ourselves back into that tiny little speck. And in that movement back to the tiniest expression of who we are, we must let go of everything that is making us seem whole and complete. So in the dissolving of who we are dissolving everything which we are not, until we get to the true essence of the truth and the reality. And then from that place of essence, we then build ourselves back up. And this is not years of development. This is happening in one meditation. Absolute and utter dissolve, which is surrender. And this concept of surrender is not necessarily a well-worn path within the West, but it is very effective. Because when we give up the controls, we are actually giving ourselves back the controls. And when I say ourselves, I mean the self. You, your most primal expression, who you are, beyond thought, beyond emotion, beyond personality. And as we give ourselves back the control, we then begin to steer the energy of the mind into the direction which we originally intended it to be. So the reeling of the mind begins to slow itself down because we are no longer so confused. Right? How many times do you ask the question, what am I doing? What should I do next? Is this person good for me? I don't know if this person is good for me. Should I get this new job? I don't know if I want a new job. And it keeps going. But the truth of the matter, and we can talk about it for hours, is that you actually already know. You already know. Even when you say, I don't know, you already know. But it's building the confidence around what it is that you know. And to connect to this statement of I don't know is natural and should be there. Because a healthy skeptic is a good scientist. So in order to trust in the process of surrender, it has to be proven first that it works. But in order to prove that it works, we have to actually engage with it. And the beauty is that you're not surrendering yourself or your power to any one person outside of who you are. It's actually going back inside to who you are. So quite literally, what you're letting go of is things that have been imposed on you by the external reality. This is the only reason why confusion arises, is because there's just too many incredibly good people with great intentions feeling that you should do this. And I'm talking about this topic of dissolve and surrender because ultimately it is impossible for us to gain friendship with the mind while we are in midst of an argument with it. So someone must win. It is the battle of will. But what's incredible is that the will is one and the same. So how do you outsmart your own will? It's very challenging. The mind, engaging the mind, attempting for the mind to become calm and relaxed is a circle. It's like the snake eating its own tail. This concept of samsara, or human conditioning and painful experience. So, in a sense, we do it to ourselves. And that's why it really hurts. There's a song by a great band, Radiohead. But that is why it really hurts, is because we are not able to say, well, it's because she said this or he did that. But this is why we keep deflecting and projecting our challenge onto external objects. Because it is this attempt for the mind to realize the mind and the mind and the mind and the mind. But what we must connect to is that mind is one aspect which makes up the human being. But then who is that is observing the mind? Who is that is observing the mind? And this is the realization that meditation gives. So if you are able to observe thought, observe mind, then therefore you are not. If you can realize that just for a moment, even just with your intellect, you can use that intellectual understanding to begin to develop that relationship. And through the developing of the relationship, we begin to realize that when we surrender, all that we're doing is giving ourselves to the intelligence that exists within the overseer of the experience of the mind. So this is the concept of your personality, your emotions, and your thoughts getting in the way of your own personal progression. It blocks, it inhibits the intelligence from doing what it's really good at. Because you ask the question, you receive the answer gets put into a questioning period that is ruled by the mind. But when I say mind, we're not using the projection of the mind as it should be used. We're using the mind which has already been conditioned from past experiences to rationalize or derationalize the suggestion which the intelligence has given. Would you disagree or agree? So to surrender that habit is then to connect to the mind itself as a pure sovereign experience. Sovereign experience meaning that it is not ruled by patterned emotion, thought based upon past, but it's been dissolved enough so that then now it's used as a projection. Asking the question, already knowing the answer, the intelligence gives this relationship the weight that it needs so that then we can develop the confidence. Now the image that is being projected into the mind is now aligned. There's congruency. So that of the intelligence, that of the mind, are now two and one and the same thing. So there's no longer a conversation which turns into an argument as to what to do next. Now that image projection creates a state within your inner reality, your state of mind. That state of mind with its magnetism is then held within the vibration of the body so that then we can breathe life into it and actualize it. So it's no longer just the inner state, but now it's going to become the outer state. So the outer environment and the inner environment start to work together as one. And you will know that what I'm telling you is accurate as you develop with your meditation practice and prove it to yourself. Now this is that self-referral system. The inner reality and the outer reality are one and the same thing, no longer separate. And the intelligence is ruling over mind, so that then the mind is no longer subject to the same form of patterning that it was before. It is now evolved into a higher state of function. I believe that this is all very good work to be developing over the course of this month, because the reaction is high right now. So it's very much on the surface. So you can really start to see and catch right before it happens. And that's what we want to do, is begin to catch the tendency right before it turns into a wave. You see what I mean? And the training ground for all of this is just simply closing the eyes, retreating back peacefully, and realizing the first step, which is you are not your mind. Any questions? One might say, how do I do that? This is a very good question. It starts with the body. The body is the anchor to your meditation. It will always be the anchor to your meditation. With your body comes relaxation. When you can begin to relax is when you begin to develop confidence. Relaxation equals confidence. Confidence on all levels, inner and outer. Developing relaxation will aid in your journey, no matter what pursuit you're on. To develop the meditative body is the essence of being a human. Because this is now the realization that ultimately all the body is the playing field between the inner reality and the outer reality. Nothing happens without passing through the nervous system. Nothing happens without passing through this nervous system. And that is truly incredible. Even you receiving information from me, the only way that happens is through the body. So now to relate to it as that, as your tool, as your opportunity, as your friend. From there, we start to now develop a meditative quality of breathing. Your breathing is designed to hold the magnetism of the mind. Holding the magnetism of the mind so that then it may direct itself. Not only holding the magnetism of the mind, but also breaking the patterns of the mind. And notice as you're listening to me, and then the information is building inside your mind as you are thinking, as you are enjoying this conversation, and then take a deep breath. And if just to take a deep breath, immediately you interrupt the flow of information that's occurring. And at that moment in time, you can choose what to do next with it. And that's genius. That's a built-in tool on a continuous basis to refresh. So this moment of realization can actually happen at any single moment. And with every inhale, you are expressing life, and with every exhale, you are letting go. All that is expired for you can be let go of, because it is the sweet death. The exhalation is the sweet death. Everything goes to rest. You want to fall asleep? You're not focusing on big, deep inhales. What you're focusing on is exhale, exhale, exhale. What you pay close attention to when you want to relax is that that out breath. So it's a built-in tool with hyper intelligence. So as it's letting go, it also breathes life into. So if there's something that is being said as a concept that you are really in support of and you want to incorporate deeper into your practice, into your life, as you are listening, whether that be to a speaker or just simply in your meditation, there's that thread of meditation that really makes sense, simply breathing into it and giving it more life. Giving life. And then you might ask, well, how does that work? How do you breathe life with your breath into something that I can't even touch or feel? This is the job of your breathing. Without breath, there's no life. The essence to all questions and all answers exists right here in front of you. All science says the exact same thing. Everything which exists, everything which is material, can actually be reduced, shrunk down to a tiny little particle in front of you that you breathe in and out on a 24-hour basis. So now it's creating a mind which is responsive to that fact. That you are not just subject going through life aimlessly, but you are incredibly equipped. Incredibly equipped. And that right now, science is taking a stance to do a total upgrade to human consciousness. A complete upgrade. And the upgrade is coming through neuroplasticity. So the research that's going into it, the discoveries that are being found within neuroplasticity is revolutionizing the human being. Because no longer are we set and hardwired, but we're actually able to change the organization of the brain. To what extent, we don't know yet. And that's brilliant. We do not know yet. But hear it and work yourself through all that doubt. The doubt is enormous that comes up. Oh, well, the ands and the buts. There's so many ands and buts that come when you listen to a new concept. But cutting through it, realize your interest. Where is your interest? Why are you sitting here? What brings you to meditation? And if you've been meditating for a while, why do you keep coming back? And it's right there. It's actually a sensation. And can you invoke it for me? Can you invoke the reason why you're interested in the meditation practice? What is the sensation that it gives you? And see how intelligent you are. It surfaces, expresses through the nervous system. This is a memory. But the muscle memory, the tissue memory, is meeting the mental memory, and it's encapsulating the breath that circulates. And you're giving life to this idea, you're giving life to this reality. And we keep doing that again and again and again. So the objective is to become incredibly subtle, so that that which you feel is only based upon the deepest truth. The deepest truth. Because that removes the confusion and the doubt. But with deepest truth comes the awareness slowing down. But because your awareness is slowing down, your life pursuit towards the direction which you wish to achieve is actually speeding up. Because now we're streamlining our effort. So speeding up, or awareness moving quickly, means 15 different things that you're doing all simultaneously at the same time, or spending a little bit of time on each one. But when we slow down, we realize that none of that is necessary, and we can just do one thing. And that one thing is fueled by your breathing. So what is that one thing that you wish to do? Why are you in this meditation class? What is it that draws you in? And the body, the breath, and the mind are designed to work with you. Now, the last part of this meditation experience is dynamic stillness. So that's all the space between the cells of the body, between the inhales and exhales, between the thoughts that fills the mind. And encoded within that dynamic expression of stillness, as you see between your thought, is direction. It's the map. You know exactly where you're going. And I don't mind to tell you this for the next 15 years, but you actually know exactly where you're going. But you have to surrender into it. Every wisdom tradition across the planet, ever since the beginning of humanity, has been saying the exact same thing. If you just simply let go and fall into, then that which you are will simply catch you. And intellectually we say, this is a phenomenal idea. But the intellect is the one that is making the complexity. And I'm talking about this all now because this is the time. Things are intricate, things are complex, things are intense. And it's the perfect opportunity to slow it down and watch it as it all plays out. Realizing that you have the doubt, realizing that you have the fear, realizing that you are feeling as though it's not possible to move forward. And simultaneously, on a continuous basis, there is always a resurfacing of possibility, always a resurfacing of direction, always a resurfacing of understanding. Always. Did you notice this? So now we choose. What is it that we place our attention towards? And what is it that we then let go of? What are those particulars within your experience that you must let go of? Now is the time. It is now. 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 And like that as the moments go by. So another great question is, well then, how does that work? Well, it works in a very simple way. It takes practice. And the practice is so beautiful. It can be done in this room and you don't even have to say anything to anybody. Just simply surrender into your own comfort, within your own body. And keep doing that as many times as you possibly can. And just see where you end up. Again letting go, and again letting go, and again letting go. And when a thought arises, again, let go. And when an emotion moves, again, let it go. And as many times as you surrender is as many times as you engage with the direction that is already encoded inside of your being. It's already there. It exists within the dynamic expression of stillness, which is also known as the unified field, the place where all things come from. The direction is already there. Unified field is science. It's the most subtle of subtle. So surrendering that which the image of the mind and engaging that which is beyond mind, beyond your rational thinking. In yoga, we have what's called Ishvara Pranidhana. And Ishvara Pranidhana means devotion to a higher form of yourself. And that's exactly what it is. So it's not giving power away, it's giving that which you wish to cultivate to the intelligence that already exists inside of you, but from a higher perspective. So this dynamic stillness, which can be then Ishvara Pranidhana, is found everywhere. So as you find comfort within your body, it reveals space. Within that exact space is where you find your direction. Within that space is where you find direction. And you can still be doing it now. And again, and again, and again. Any questions? So lastly, this developing relationship with your meditation and the most subtle forms of who you are will then be bolstering the confidence to create resolve. The disturbances within the mind generally exist because of unresolved matter. Unresolved, no longer at rest. So one must resolve from the internal or from the external. And generally there's both. That in your outside environment which you must resolve so that it no longer disturbs you. And that of your inner environment must be resolved so it no longer disturbs you. What gives you the confidence and strength is to know that there is direction. What establishes direction is this combination of body, breath, mind, along with the expression of that stillness, which is just a fancy way of saying meditation. Please close your eyes. For tonight's meditation, all that I would ask for you to focus on is this surrendering into comfort. So first the comfort found within the body, then the comfort found within the breath, and then the comfort found within the mind as a tool for you to ultimately trust in yourself. the roadmap to exactly where you're going exists right there. Exactly there where you feel at this moment in time. Exactly there where you see in your mind's eye. Dissolving into comfort. Become the position of pure awareness, which is unbiased, which sees without prejudice, which sees without good or bad. Keeping the eyes closed, let's bring full, deep breaths into the body. Keeping the eyes closed, bring your gaze just there in front of you. And with a soft intensity, maintain the integrity of the space. And very slowly, very gently, allow the eyes to open. So see what happened when you settled into your meditation. A flooding of information occurred. All information is good information when it comes to meditation. Because we are simply dissolving it all. No matter what, it all becomes reduced down to its essence, to its most finest form. And at that place, it is even playing field. Even. No matter what image or sensation which is given to you during meditation, we always respond in the exact same way, which is finding comfort within that. Comfort within it. And through comfort, we then establish relaxation. And through relaxation, we're gaining confidence in that dynamic quality of stillness that emerges as you let go. Letting go is taking steps back so that then we have perspective. We begin to see the reality that we are observing it all and that none of it is actually touching us. We are not that. So my pinky finger is not observing itself. It is the finger. I am observing the pinky finger. That's the truth. All that you can observe, you are not that. You are that which is not able to be observed or separated. So it's just simply dissolve, 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 again and again and again. The direction is already encoded. It's already there. So now you just have to follow the intelligence, and you will land perfectly. Any final questions? Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.